It's often said that a person's true character is revealed in how they treat those who serve them. But nobody seemed to care when Maria Lopez, in her worn uniform and faded maroon shirt, wheeled her cleaning cart through the glass doors of Apex Corp, one of New York's most influential corporations. With her hair pulled back, her head slightly lowered, and hands roughened from years of hard work, Maria went unnoticed by the suited managers and employees around her. They bustled past without a word or even a glance. The entire building buzzed with activity as executives and employees hurried off to meetings, preparing for the day's important events. Maria continued down the gleaming corridors, her footsteps soft against the pristine, polished floors. Her faded maroon shirt, though visibly worn with time, stood out amid the lavish decor. Yet no one noticed to them. Maria was simply part of the backdrop. Like the tables, chairs, or floor she cleaned every day. She was the one who tidied up after them, and they took her presence for granted. Maria had worked at Apex Corp for countless years, long enough to know every corner of the building, from the opulent boardrooms on the upper floors to the storage closets where unused items lay forgotten. Every day she observed the powerful figures passing by, none of whom paid her any attention. They were engrossed in their meetings and decisions, while she quietly and diligently went about her duties. Little did they know that Maria Lopez, the woman in the faded maroon shirt, was not just any cleaner. Maria had observed it all. Every word, every sidelong glance, every interaction among the staff and executives. She understood the power dynamics, the way people treated each other, and the choices they made. And she knew that soon everything would be different. On one Tuesday morning, which seemed like any other, Maria entered the spacious boardroom on the top floor to prepare it for an important meeting. Sam Hartley, one of the senior executives, with a notorious air of arrogance, strolled into the room with his colleagues. Spotting Maria cleaning the windows, Sam could not resist a condescending remark. "Make sure you do not leave any streaks, Maria." He sneered at some of us have important work to do, and we would not want your smudges ruining our day. Sam did not even look directly at her, his tone dismissive and full of disdain, as if her presence did not warrant even the smallest courtesy. His colleagues laughed, finding amusement in his sharp wit. To them, Maria was just a cleaner, nothing more than a background figure in their world. Nothing more. They did not realize that their words were not merely hurtful, but marked a mistake that would cost them dearly. Maria continued, cleaning the window with her calloused hands, her gaze steady and calm despite Sam's sneers. She had grown used to such treatment. Over her years at Apex Corp, time and again she had seen people like Sam, self-assured managers, who acted as though the entire world revolved around them, never once considering the worth of others. She remained quiet and humble, her demeanor unshakable, but inside, Maria remembered everything. Jason Cooper, another senior executive, known for his arrogance and harsh manner, saw Maria as nothing more than a fixture in the building. Like the walls she cleaned, he believed himself to be at the center of everything, naturally entitled to look down on those beneath him. On this particular day, as on many others, he made a biting remark, adding, "Let's keep those windows spotless, Maria. We have a big meeting, so try not to leave any streaks." The dismissive words came with a glance full of disdain, and a smirk prompting laughter from his colleagues. They did not think about how their words might affect her in their eyes. She was merely a cleaner, someone without the voice or courage to push back. Maria nodded slightly, her face unreadable, as though their words could not reach her. She kept cleaning her hands, accustomed to wiping away the remnants of their presence, making the windows gleam for her. It was just another part of her daily tasks. But her silence was not a surrender. It was the patience of someone who had seen and endured far more than they could imagine. Behind the glass door she was cleaning, more managers walked by wrapped up in their own tasks, none sparing her even a passing glance. To them she was simply part of the environment, there to clean up after them, without a word of thanks or a hint of recognition. Maria maintained her quiet professionalism, yet her eyes took in everything. She had seen it all. How managers like Jason belittled their juniors, mocking and even abusing their authority to assert superiority. Yet what Jason and others failed to understand was that Maria knew much more than they assumed. She had observed every behavior, overheard every confidential conversation, not just trivial jokes but decisions, with serious consequences for others' lives. She was aware of the hidden crevices within Apex Corp, secrets that even the executives did not realize. Someone like her could comprehend. Most employees never thought a cleaner could know so much about the inner workings of Apex Corp. Sam's mocking laughter and the chuckles of his colleagues echoed through the room, but Maria stayed silent. Her presence, like a quiet ghost among the polished surfaces. Deep down she knew her silence would not last forever. Sam had no idea that his scornful words would become his biggest mistake. In time he would no longer be in those meetings, no longer sitting in the powerful chairs he clung to. His pride and arrogance would soon collapse, just as he had disregarded and belittled Maria. What Sam and his colleagues did not realize was that Maria Lopez, the woman in the faded maroon shirt, was far more powerful than they could imagine. Soon enough they would understand this clearly. When Maria took her stand, reshaping the world they thought they controlled, while Sam and his colleagues' laughter filled the room, there was one person who remained silent. Anna Wright, a recent graduate from a renowned business school. and a new hire at Apex Corp, observed quietly from a distance. She had been at the company only a few weeks, yet had already noticed the prevailing air of arrogance, particularly among senior executives like Sam. Those at the top seemed to have forgotten the importance of those below them, people who kept the wheels turning day by day. Anna had also noticed Maria, the quiet woman who wheeled her cart through the halls. Unlike everyone else, Anna did not see Maria as invisible. From her first days at Apex, Anna had observed the quiet grace with which Maria moved through the building, her eyes keenly observing every small detail that others so easily overlooked. Though Maria wore a faded maroon shirt and maintained a humble presence, Anna sensed there was something unique about her. Beneath that unassuming exterior lay a confidence and intelligence, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. One day, as Anna was walking down the hallway, she caught Maria's gaze. It was not the look of someone simply performing a cleaning task. Maria's eyes held a knowing quality, a depth that Anna could not ignore. In that instant, Anna felt as though Maria understood everything going on in the company, the good and the bad. From that moment on, Anna could not help but pay closer attention to Maria whenever she saw her. That day when Sam made his sneering remark and his colleagues laughed at Maria's expense, Anna found herself thinking, how can they treat her like that? She watched as Maria quietly continued her work. Undisturbed by the scorn, it only made Anna more curious. She sensed an inner strength in Maria that people like Sam completely missed. Her calm, her patience, and her attention to every small detail suggested to Anna that Maria was far more than she appeared. Anna had heard the saying that you could judge a person's character by how they treated those in lower positions. To her, Sam and his colleagues had revealed their true selves. In every derisive word, every smug smile, they were so wrapped up in their power and the big decisions they considered so critical that they had forgotten it was people like Maria who kept the company running smoothly. But perhaps Anna thought they would soon face a wake-up call. She felt a change brewing, a storm on the horizon for Apex Corp, and Maria Lopez seemed to be at the heart of it. From her quiet movements through the hallways to her vigilant gaze, Anna sensed that Maria would not remain in the background forever. As Anna returned to her desk that day, her thoughts kept returning to Maria, who was still quietly cleaning the boardroom. Maria did not say a word, but Anna felt certain that beneath that calm exterior lay a story yet untold, a story that could change the very fabric of Apex Corp, and perhaps the lives of everyone within it, including her own feeling, as though she was standing at the edge of something monumental. Anna resolved to keep watching closely. She knew that something was about to unfold, and wanted to ensure she did not miss a single moment. Maria Lopez might be the woman in the faded maroon shirt, but to Anna, she was the key to the monumental changes looming over Apex Corp. Anna was convinced that when the truth finally surfaced, people like Sam Hartley would no longer be laughing. That afternoon, the tension within Apex Corp grew more palpable than ever. Employees scrambled to finish last-minute preparations, getting ready for the annual review, a critical meeting where all the senior leaders would present their year's achievements and strategies in front of the CEO. Thomas Grant, known for his sharp business acumen and decisive leadership, Grant had flown in from Los Angeles just for this occasion. For senior managers like Sam and his team, this was the most important day of the year. Everyone was working frantically, adjusting presentations and reviewing stacks of reports, knowing that this meeting could make or break their careers. At Apex Corp, the company was about to present its annual performance and future plans to none other than Alexander Grant, the CEO of Apex Corp. Known for his sharp mind and resolute leadership style, Grant's reputation preceded him, instilling both awe and a heightened sense of formality across the company. He had flown in from Los Angeles to New York solely for this meeting, marking it as the pinnacle of the year for senior managers like Sam Hartley and his colleagues. Everyone understood that this gathering could determine their futures. At Apex Corp, as the meeting approached, the tension in the air was palpable. Executives were anxiously reviewing thick stacks of documents, finalizing charts and refining business reports. They all knew that what happened in this room could make or break their careers. Meanwhile, Maria was still in the boardroom, continuing her cleaning as usual, wearing her faded maroon shirt. She moved her cart through the rows of chairs, tidying up the room in preparation for the crucial meeting. Outside, the hurried footsteps of executives echoed, underscoring the urgency in the atmosphere. When the doors opened, Alexander Grant entered, radiating authority and confidence. In his perfectly tailored gray suit, his sharp gaze swept across the room, assessing each detail, each person. Silence fell as everyone turned their attention to him, a mixture of respect and apprehension evident in their faces. Grant stood at the center of the boardroom, his hand resting on the large wooden table. As he glanced around, it was as though he were evaluating not only the room itself, but everyone seated within it. But suddenly his gaze stopped at one corner, where Maria Lopez stood quietly with her cleaning tools. Unlike the others, Grant did not overlook Maria. Instead, something surprising happened. He smiled a warm, knowing smile and said, "Maria, I think the time has come, has not it?" The entire room froze. The executives who, moments earlier, had been brimming with confidence over their presentations, now sat bewildered, trying to comprehend the CEO's sudden attention to the cleaning woman. They had barely noticed. Sam Hartley, who had sneered at Maria just hours before, sat frozen, his face tight. The usual smug smile was gone, replaced by utter confusion. The room was filled with murmurs, as everyone tried to make sense of why the most powerful figure in the company had addressed the cleaner. All eyes turned toward Maria, filled with curiosity and disbelief. Slowly, Maria put down the rag in her hand. Her movements were measured, each step carrying an unexpected assurance. She lifted her head, no longer inclined in humility, and walked to the center of the room. In that instant, Maria no longer appeared as a mere cleaning woman, but as someone with an unanticipated power. Anna Wright, who had been observing from the back of the room, felt a surge of anticipation. Her heart raced as she realized that this was the moment Maria had been waiting for. She was about to witness something momentous, something that would change everything she had come to know at Apex Corp. Grant looked calmly at the executives and then made an announcement that shifted the entire atmosphere in the room. "I'd like to introduce you all to the primary shareholder of Apex Corp." Maria Lopez's silence blanketed the room for a moment. No one breathed, and then shocked whispers filled the air, eyes widening with disbelief. The woman they had ignored, the one they had dismissed for so many years, was actually the largest stakeholder in the company. The senior executives, who once held so much power, sat paralyzed in shock. Sam Hartley, pale and speechless, could not look away from Maria, who stood before him, a silent reminder of his own arrogance. He suddenly realized everything he had assumed about her was utterly wrong. Maria, the woman in the faded maroon shirt, was not just a nameless cleaner. She held the very fate of Apex Corp in her hands. The air was thick with astonishment as Maria stood, no longer the quiet woman behind the cleaning cart, but a figure of pride and authority. The mocking, laughter and sneers of the past had disappeared, leaving her to stand taller than them all, ready to change everything. Maria stood at the center of the room, her calm yet powerful gaze taking in the faces of the executives around her. The room was so silent that the tension felt almost tangible. No one dared to move. Grant's words, Apex Corp's primary shareholder Maria Lopez, echoed in their minds, disrupting every notion they once held about her. Taking a steady breath, Maria finally spoke, her voice strong and unwavering for many years. She began, her eyes sweeping across the room. I've watched how you've managed this company. Maria began. I have not sat behind a desk in a fancy office, but I've walked through every hallway, every boardroom, and I've seen it all. You thought I was just an invisible cleaner, but in truth, I've been observing everything. Her words held the room captive, and no one dared to interrupt. Sam Hartley, who had mocked her just hours earlier, sat frozen, his eyes wide with shock, the arrogance and pride usually etched on his face, now replaced by fear and confusion. He could not comprehend that the woman he had dismissed held so much power. Maria continued, her voice steady and resolute. I've seen how you treat those below you, how you overlook their hard work and dedication. You focused only on profits, forgetting the most crucial element, people. You've built a toxic culture where arrogance and contempt have overshadowed respect and collaboration, but from today onward, that changes. Her gaze locked onto each director in turn, and a palpable shift filled the air. She was no longer just the woman with a mop and rag. She was the one wielding real power, and she was ready to use it to change Apex Corp for good. For years, Maria went on, I've been gradually buying shares of this company, piece by piece, and now I am the majority shareholder of Apex Corp. From today, I will decide how this company is run. Her words sliced through the silence. Like a blade, the directors exchanged anxious glances, but none dared to challenge her. They realized with dawning regret that they had underestimated the most powerful person in the room, someone they had thought insignificant. At the back of the room, Anna Wright felt the weight of this moment. Her heart raced as she witnessed Maria standing before the executives, speaking the truth with authority. Anna understood this was a defining moment, not only for Apex Corp, but for everyone who had ever worked within its walls. Maria was not just an ordinary woman. She had been the backbone of the company, building its success from the shadows. Maria turned to face Alexander Grant, who had been standing quietly by her side, a silent supporter. Alexander and I have been working together for a long time, she continued. He's the only one in this room who understands that a company's strength does not come from profits alone, but from the loyalty and dedication of its people. Grant nodded, a smile of agreement crossing his face. He was not just a powerful CEO. He was a man with vision, someone who had trusted Maria and helped her prepare for this very moment. Maria's gaze settled on Sam Hartley, who sat pale and motionless, unable to look her in the eye. She spoke slowly, her voice unwavering. Sam, do you remember what you said to me this morning? The mocking, condescending words you used while I was simply doing my job. Sam was speechless, his face drained of color. He knew what was coming and had no defense. Maria stepped forward, standing directly in front of him, her words precise and without pity. Sam Hartley, you're fired. Effective immediately. The room erupted in murmurs of shock and disbelief. Sam sat there stunned as the career, reputation and power he had spent his life building dissolved before his eyes. His colleagues, the very ones he had once looked down upon, now stared at him in a mixture of shock and silent satisfaction. Maria Lopez, the woman they had once scorned, now stood above them all, having proven that respect and kindness were values never to be underestimated. This is a wake-up call for all of you, Maria declared, her voice ringing through the room. If you do not change, if you do not start valuing people, this will not be the last firing. Her words hung in the air, like a warning to the leadership of Apex Corp. Their reality had irrevocably shifted, and it was Maria, the woman in the faded maroon shirt, who had made the change. The room fell into a deep silence. Everyone held their breath, gazing at Maria with a mixture of respect and uncertainty. It was hard to believe that the woman they had so easily dismissed, who had quietly cleaned their rooms and hallways for years, was now the one holding ultimate authority. And yet they all knew this was only the beginning. The change would not end with Sam Hartley's departure. Maria stood tall, her sharp eyes moving across the room, seeming to pierce through each person, as though she could read their innermost thoughts. Each executive felt the weight of her gaze, a silent pressure, signaling that the time of arrogance and contempt had passed. They were witnessing the start of something profound, a transformation that would reshape the heart of Apex Corp. Their future at Apex Corp now rested in Maria's hands. Her voice echoed through the room, calm yet resolute. This company will no longer be the same. For too long, you focused solely on profits and numbers, forgetting the people who make this place run. You've treated those beneath you as mere tools for your success, as if they had no real value. But that ends today. Uneasy glances passed around the room. The executives had grown accustomed to leading with unchecked authority, giving little thought to the impact on their subordinates. But now, Maria was sparking a revolution that would alter Apex Corp forever. They understood that if they did not adapt, their future in the company would be uncertain. Maria continued, I've watched this culture of arrogance grow over the years. I've seen how you've disregarded the hard-working employees who give their all to this company without receiving the respect they deserve. You've built a culture that values only those at the top, while everyone else is ignored. But today that changes, and I will ensure it. Her gaze swept across the room, and each manager felt the weight of her words. She was no longer the invisible woman behind the cleaning cart, but a true leader who had quietly observed and understood every corner of the company. Maria's voice sharpened. Sam was the first, but if any of you continue to belittle your employees or prioritize your own self-interest above all, you will face the same fate. I'm not here to criticize. I'm here to warn you. If you do not change, I will change you. The room was so silent that you could hear the quickened breaths of some of the executives. They had grown comfortable with their authority, and now they were faced with the consequences Of that complacency, a few managers exchanged glances, trying to gauge how to adjust to this new reality. Among them John Grayson, known for his domineering attitude, looked visibly shaken. They understood that the culture Maria was challenging was not a recent issue. It had been ingrained in Apex Corp. For years, Alexander Grant, the CEO, had observed the entire scene in silence. He knew this moment had been building for a long time, and trusted Maria's leadership completely. More than anyone, he understood that a company could not thrive on financial metrics alone. It had to be founded on mutual respect and the ability to tap into each person's potential. He nodded in support, a gesture that did not escape the notice of the other managers. They began to realize that this shift was not just Maria's initiative. It had the full support of the CEO. There was no turning back. They would have to embrace this change if they wanted to stay at Apex. Maria's voice softened but remained firm. I'm not here to tear down Apex Corp. I'm here to rebuild it from our mistakes. This company needs to become a place where every employee, from the lowest to the highest level, feels respected and valued. From now on, everyone will have the chance to prove their worth. Standing quietly at the back of the room, Anna Wright's heart pounded as she listened. This was precisely the kind of culture she had hoped to find when she joined Apex. She had seen the dark side of the company's culture, but now she was witnessing a revolution, led by the woman in the faded maroon shirt, Maria Lopez. And for those who cannot adapt, Maria said firmly, her eyes scanning the room, you may leave. Apex Corp will continue to grow and succeed, but it will do so on a foundation of respect and collaboration, not arrogance and control. Her words hung in the air as both a warning and an invitation, offering the opportunity for renewal to those willing to step into a new era for Apex Corp. The old walls of unchecked power had started to crumble, and Maria Lopez now stood at the forefront, leading the change. The room remained hushed, but everyone could feel that a new chapter was beginning. After Maria's powerful declaration, Apex Corp boardroom was filled with tense silence. Each executive sat frozen, processing what they had just heard. It was clear the days of freely abusing authority and belittling others were over. As the tension hung heavy in the air, Maria's eyes landed on John Grayson, a longtime senior manager, notorious for his aggressive climb up the corporate ladder. Arrogance defined John Grayson, a senior manager, willing to do anything to climb up the ladder. As he sat observing Maria's speech, a clear worry crept into his eyes. He sensed he could be next. His actions, similar to Sam's, but often worse, had earned him many enemies in the company, and Maria had undoubtedly taken notice. Maria slowly approached John, her gaze fixed on him, heightening the tension in the room. As everyone anticipated her next move, John sat rigid, his hands trembling slightly, as he tried to maintain a calm facade. But his unease was unmistakable. "John Grayson," Maria began, her voice low yet powerful. "Do you know why I'm calling your name?" John met her gaze, trying to find words of defense. But his voice faltered. I do not understand, Maria. I've worked hard for this company for years. I do not see why I'm being put in this position." Maria's expression remained unchanged, her gaze as cold and sharp as before. "Hard work," she challenged. "Do you consider stepping on others, belittling those without power to be hard work? Is that something to be proud of? You have not respected the people who have built this company from the ground up." John felt the weight of Maria's words, and he knew there was no escape this time. He had long become accustomed to wielding his power over others. But now that power was useless. Everyone in the room watched, understanding that a significant change was underway. Maria continued without giving him a chance to respond. "You have disrespected your subordinates, fostered a toxic work environment, and believed yourself untouchable. But today that ends not just for Sam, but for you as well, John Grayson. You're fired effective immediately." The room erupted into murmurs of shock and disbelief. John sat frozen, his face pale and his eyes wide, unable to process what had just happened. He had always thought himself invincible, beyond challenge, but in a single instant, it had all collapsed, gripping the armrest of his chair. He tried to steady himself, stammering, But I can change, Maria. Give me a chance." Maria shook her head, unyielding. "Your chances are over, John. You've had many opportunities to change, and you ignored them. All your actions have harmed not only others, but the entire work environment. Apex Corp has no place for people like you." John lowered his head, unable to speak. The reputation, power, and influence he had once cherished were gone. Around him, his colleagues exchanged glances of surprise, relief, and quiet satisfaction, glad to see that finally someone like John was being held accountable. Maria turned to face the rest of the boardroom, her eyes bright with determination. "This is not just a lesson for Sam or John," she said firmly, "but a warning to everyone in this room. The culture of this company will change. There will no longer be room for arrogance, belittling others, or abusing power. We will create a workplace where everyone is respected and valued for their contributions." The room remained silent, but the atmosphere had transformed. The air of entitlement and arrogance had evaporated. Though some managers looked uneasy, others sensed that Maria was doing what was right. The invisible walls of self-satisfaction they had built over years were beginning to crumble, and a new era for Apex Corp was dawning. Maria's gaze swept over the room once more. "I'm not here to destroy anyone," she said, "but I will not allow a disrespectful work environment to persist. If you can adapt and embrace these new values, you will have a place in this company's future. If not, you may find a different path. No one dared to protest. They knew that Maria held complete control. They faced a clear choice: to adapt or leave. A new wind of change was blowing through Apex Corp, and Maria Lopez was at the helm. Standing at the back of the room, Anna Wright smiled softly, feeling hopeful about the future. This transformation was not just reshaping the company. It was changing her own life. Maria had proven that true power did not come from a position, but from the patience and determination to bring change from the roots. Maria turned to Alexander Grant, who had observed everything, silently nodding his support with a small, approving smile. Their shared vision had finally become a reality. Maria had not just been cleaning the office. She had cleansed the entire culture of Apex Corp. When Maria Lopez finished speaking, the room remained intensely silent. The directors and managers sat frozen, trying to absorb everything they had just witnessed. Everyone knew the days of unchecked power and abusive behavior were over. Maria had ignited a transformation, one that would lead Apex Corp into a new chapter where respect, collaboration, and integrity guided its path forward. Silence filled the room as the director's eyes followed Maria with a mixture of awe and caution. John Grayson had been dismissed, and everyone knew their own futures hung on every word Maria spoke. They understood that nothing would ever be the same, and the fear of who might be next was palpable. Maria walked to the center of the room, her gaze sweeping across each person. The once powerful executives now sat quietly, avoiding her gaze, as if none of them dared to meet her eyes. The air in the room seemed frozen. The invisible walls of power they'd built over the years had completely collapsed, I hope. Maria began, her voice calm but cutting. That today's message is clear. This is not just a warning for John or Sam. It's for everyone here. The culture of disrespect and abuse of power at Apex Corp will no longer stand. She paused, letting her words sink in, watching the tension rise in their faces. Some exchanged uneasy glances, trying to gauge the shifting dynamics, while others quietly accepted that Maria was now in control. Yes, Apex Corp has achieved great financial success, she continued, but you've forgotten something crucial. The heart of a company is not its financials. It's how it treats its people. Maria's gaze grew sharper, from the janitors to the assistants, those you've so easily dismissed. Each one is the foundation of the success you enjoy. None of them are invisible. Her words were not just a reprimand. They were a profound reminder. Slowly the directors began to realize that Maria was not merely seeking to punish them. She was here to rectify the deeply embedded flaws in the company's culture, to bring it back to human values and respect. At the back of the room, Anna Wright felt a surge of admiration for Maria. This was not just a speech. It was a rallying cry, a genuine call for reform, offering everyone a chance to become part of something better. Anna sensed that the future of Apex Corp was being reshaped right in front of her, and she felt a newfound resolve to be part of this change. Maria took a deep breath, looking around to ensure her message resonated with everyone. "I started at the bottom," she said, her voice softer yet no less powerful. "I've worked in the roles you've barely acknowledged. During that time, I observed far more than you thought possible. You seem to have forgotten that the success of a company is not built on one person at the top, but on everyone working together. Here is your chance to change, to be part of a new Apex, a company where everyone is valued, not just on paper, but in reality." The room remained silent. Each director understood that they faced a choice: to continue down their current path of arrogance and disregard, or to embrace the new culture Maria was instituting. There was no third option. Maria would no longer tolerate ambiguity or compromise. On this matter, she turned to Alexander Grant, who had silently supported her throughout the meeting. His gentle smile conveyed his unwavering faith in her, and his nod was a public acknowledgement of his endorsement. Alexander was not just the CEO of Apex. He had been Maria's ally, helping her acquire shares and preparing her for this moment of transformation. "Thank you, Alexander," Maria said, her voice softening with warmth. "You believed in me when no one else did. And because of that trust, we now have the chance to rebuild Apex the right way." Alexander nodded, respect shining in his eyes. "It was not difficult to trust someone with your vision. Apex Corp needs a leader who understands people, not just numbers, and that person is you." His words felt like a formal recognition of the transition. In leadership, Maria had officially taken the reins, guiding Apex Corp into a new era, rooted in values she had long held. Maria looked around the room one last time, meeting each director's gaze, as if to ensure they understood her message. "You may choose to stay and be part of this transformation, or to leave. The choice is yours," she said with quiet strength. "But Apex Corp will now be a place where everyone is respected, regardless of title. If you choose to stay, prepare for a future where our core values come first." With that, Maria turned and walked out of the boardroom, leaving behind a room of stunned and contemplative faces. The walls of old power had crumbled, and Maria Lopez, the woman they had once overlooked, in her faded maroon shirt, was now leading Apex Corp into a new future. Anna Wright quietly followed, feeling a renewed faith in the future. This was not just a transformation for the company. It was a pivotal moment. that would forever change her own life. Maria's principles: respect, collaboration, and patience had become the new foundation of Apex Corp. Respect, cooperation, and patience had become the guiding principles at Apex Corp. Anna hurried to catch up with Maria in the hallway and quietly said, "Thank you, Maria. Thank you for everything." Maria turned to her with a warm smile. "You do not need to thank me, Anna. Just remember one thing. Never let anyone define your worth. You set that yourself." Anna nodded, filled with admiration and gratitude. She knew she had witnessed a historic moment, one that not only changed the company, but her own life. Maria stepped outside the building, gazing out at the vast city of New York. She had started from the bottom and now stood at the top, but what filled her with pride was not the power or wealth. It was the fact that she had proven that patience, persistence, and respect for others were the real pillars of success. Apex Corp would never be the same again, and it was all because of Maria Lopez. Standing beneath the New York sky, the afternoon sun glinting off the towering skyscrapers, the city's landscape took on a new meaning for Maria. She paused, breathing in the fresh air, feeling the profound change she had brought about. She had not just transformed Apex Corp from within. She had rewritten the course of her own life. From a forgotten cleaner, she had become a leader in one of the industry's most powerful companies. Anna joined Maria outside, her heart brimming with admiration and respect. She looked at Maria with a fierce belief that what she had witnessed would shape her forever. Anna had not just learned the mechanics of running a company. She had learned the importance of respecting every individual, no matter their position. Maria smiled as Anna approached. "Have you thought it through?" Maria asked, her tone affectionate. Anna nodded, her eyes shining with determination. "Yes. I want to stay and help you bring this change to Apex. I believe in the values you're establishing. It's the reason I joined Apex in the first place." Maria looked at the young woman with encouragement. "You have a bright future ahead of you, Anna. I'm glad you've chosen this path. But remember, it will not always be easy. There will be resistance, and there will be challenges. But as long as you stay true to what's right, you'll get through it all." Anna smiled, deeply inspired by Maria's words. She understood now that change required patience and resilience. Maria had shown her that anyone, no matter where they started, could make a difference if they had enough determination and self-respect. Inside the building, the impact of what had unfolded in the boardroom lingered like a quiet but powerful wave. The directors who once wielded control now faced a stark reality. Adapt or leave. The walls of arrogance had crumbled, and Maria had begun the process of rebuilding Apex Corp. From its very roots, none of them would forget this day. The day a woman they had once overlooked had risen to lead them out. On the bustling New York streets, Maria and Anna walked side by side, their steps filled with determination and confidence. Maria stopped at an intersection, watching the crowd and the traffic wearing by. She reflected on the journey she had taken, from working quietly in the shadows to standing confidently before the company's top executives. She had not just transformed her own life, but the lives of countless others. Turning to Anna, she spoke with sincerity. The most important thing, Anna, is never to let anyone undervalue you. Each of us has strengths, as long as we believe in them and use them wisely. Today is not just about me. It's about everyone who has ever been looked down upon. Together, we're going to build a better future for Apex Corp. Anna nodded, absorbing each word like a cherished lesson. She realized she was not just working for a company. She was part of a mission, contributing to a profound shift toward respect and human values. Maria took a step forward, sunlight illuminating her face. New York, with its imposing skyscrapers, was no longer just a symbol of power, but a place where anyone could rise, given enough patience and resilience. In Maria's heart, she knew her journey was not over. There was still much work ahead, many changes to implement, but today she had proven that true strength did not lie in authority alone. It lay in patience, respect, and the resolve to create change. From the smallest beginnings, from that day forward, Apex Corp would no longer be a place of arrogance and disregard, but a symbol of fairness, respect, and the courage to overcome challenges. And it all started with a woman in a faded maroon shirt. A woman who did not just clean the office, but cleaned out the toxic culture of the company. Maria and Anna continued their walk through the busy streets, each step radiating purpose and hope. A new chapter had begun at Apex Corp, and they knew the future would be brighter. Thanks to the resilience and determination of people like Maria Lopez, that day Apex Corp did not just change. It would forever remember the story of Maria Lopez, the woman once underestimated, but who rose to take control of it all. Thank you for following Maria Lopez's inspiring journey. If you found this story meaningful, please share it with friends, and do not forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories in the future. Thank you for your support, and see you in the next story.